everybody, my name is Cheri. Welcome to my stamp studio. Today I have my first project for those of you that are in my card club. Those of you that are not always get to see the first project that my girls in card club are going to do. I always say girls, I'd be happy if I had some guys join. So if you're a guy and you're watching, feel free to join my card club, and then I'll have to change the way I introduce it. But this is for March. As you can see, I have my St. Patrick's Day nails working. I'm not sure they'll make it to St. Patrick's Day. I'm really hard on my nails, obviously. I'll explain my card club as I go along. And this card is full of some fun little tips and tricks. My goal with card club is not only that at the end of the month, you will have 6 cards to use and you get the envelopes too. And then you'll have a ton of extra product left to use on different things, but that you learn at least one thing. And this, just in this video, there's going to be some tips and tricks for you. So I hope that, and sometimes it's not necessarily for those of you that may have been stamping as long as I have. Sometimes it's just a refresher, like, oh, I used to know that 20 years ago, and I just remind you of it. So let me show you what you're going to get first if you are in card club. And I have, I'm fairly close to the amount that I could have and have it be full. There is some space, but what's happened this month is the embellishments that I chose, I did get for all of you that are already in it. So don't worry, they are currently on back order, which means they can't be ordered until they're back in at Stampin' Up. I haven't exactly figured out the numbers from people who have paused and people that joined at the end of the last month. And then I always have some people that pause or drop out. So I got my estimated number. I got what I sent out last month. So if people join, you may have to get a substitute for the embellishment. I'll just give you something that would look equally as good on the cards. With embellishments, that's really easy to do. So that is one caveat with this month. I didn't expect, it's a good thing I ordered the day I did. I was kind of really super busy that day and I thought, no, I'm going to go ahead and put the order in. And then bam, they were gone. So I was glad that I did it. So we are going to use the online exclusives. Everybody in Card Club gets a half a pack of the Designer Series paper, which is called, this is a full, well, it's not a full pack because I've been using it. So it's a 6x6 paper. It's the Hello Irresistible 6x6. So you get half a pack. It's not cut. It's just divided into half. So you get half a pack of that. Now with this paper, if you choose not to get the stamp set that I'm using, there are flowers and leaves that you can cut out. So you don't even need a stamp set. You would just need some words to add to it. And I'm going to show you that today. So it's a really fun, it's a beautiful spring colored package of paper. So you get half a pack of that. And then as long as you're already in the club, you get one of the packages of the loose frosted dots. And I'm hoping that I can make this go. So because I did order one for me as well. That would give me one more package for somebody who joins. So you can see they're beautiful. And I have used a ton of them on a ton of cards. And I was exceedingly liberal with them because I didn't know they were going to be gone. Really, really pretty embellishments. And that's why they sold out so fast, because they are beautiful. So you'll get a full package of these. If it gets to the point that I don't have enough, I will put it on my club page. And when you subscribe, you'll see that you're going to get something else. There are other things that have these colors that would work. So don't worry about it. They'll work. And then you'll get a full package of the gold and silver ribbon. That's part of the online exclusives. This hasn't sold out, but I've already ordered it. So there's no, everybody will get this. Unless, I mean, I guess I haven't ordered it for new people. I'm putting another order in to get this stuff as I've designed the cards. So I can get that. And then the stamp set that I am using, and when you are part of my card club, one of the perks is you can get the stamps or the stamps and dies. You can pick whichever one you want. You do not have to have a die cut machine to be in my club, but you just pay catalog price. Or in the new online exclusive world, they'll never be in a catalog, so you just pay the online price, but I pay the shipping and handling and tax for you. It's a beautiful set and it matches the paper so well. So here's the stamps and here's the dies. But like I said, you do not have to have a die cut set. Anytime, like there are dies that cut these out, but y'all have scissors. When I first started stamping a zillion years ago, there were not dies and we just used our scissors. So anything that has to be cut out like this, you can. On this particular card, there's 3 of these in this set and I am going to use them. But if you don't have the dies, then you'll just find the leaves, and I'll show you when I make the card, on the paper that look like this, and you can just cut those out. So you can make it work. Now this is on this card, so when you get your supplies, it'll already come cut out to you. We may use this, we may not. As I was cutting this out, I thought it's a good thing that Formula One has started, because my husband does the die cutting for me, and to do the number that I have to do for club, it's a lot. And he's already not going to be super happy when he sees this one coming his way. But we're going to get an early start on it. So we're going to use Hello Irresistible. And then every month I do one alternative. And I'm going to show you an alternative here just in a second. To give you an idea of something else, because it's easy to substitute. And then one of the other things that we do is about every 3 months, this time will be a little bit off schedule as well. We were off schedule in December because of Christmas, and then it puts us about the time that we will be on our European vacation, so it'll be a little bit switched. But we take the previous 3 months, and I take the stamps from those months, and I mix them with the papers, the ribbons, and embellishments from other months. So here's the dies and the embellishments and the stamp sets with other paper. So this is paper that's in the current mini catalog, but it's everything else. So when you still have your stamps and your embellishments left and you've run out of paper, which it's hard to run out of paper, right? But this one I really wanted to show you because this is the complete alternative. This is the paper and the embellishments. This is a different ribbon. I didn't have the new ribbon at the time, but you could put the gold ribbon right there instead. But if you don't want a flower, then just put on an animal. And I'm going to use the rhinoceroses later this week that are on the online exclusive. If you don't want a floral, just stick a rhinoceros on the card that we're going to do today. And it would be really cute because the card I'm going to have do today has a little bit of a jungle feel to it. So just stick a rhinoceros on instead of a flower, and then you've done your own alternate. This is the closest to, this could easily be a club card, except it's not. It was the first card I made with the suite, and again, it was before the ribbon was out, but there's really, you could tie a little piece of ribbon on it, but it's just a really beautiful suite. This one also uses the folders that are part of the online exclusives. So the way Card Club works is you subscribe via PayPal subscription. You just you sign up, and then they auto bill you every month. If you sign up on the 9th, then every month on the 9th they just automatically take it. That way neither of us have to worry about it. And then by the 26th of every month, I send you the packet. The packet includes usually a half a package of cardstock, just like I showed you here, usually a full packet of ribbon, and usually a full thing of embellishment. The 6 envelopes, we do 3 projects, 2 of each. 1 is always public, the other 2 are private, and then you get the supplies. So I've already made the 1 card, so here's the stuff for the other, and then obviously you use your paper. So for this project, I'm going to use this piece. I don't have my envelopes here because they just get bent up. And then I like to just keep these little folders here because all the little pieces that I have cut, you can just slide them back in there and keep all of your stuff. I just get these on Amazon. So let's do our project. I have soft seafoam, and like I said, I'm gonna give you some tips and tricks and just some other kind of things, ideas. So we have soft seafoam. We'll go ahead and fold this in half. You do need, if you do not have a bone folder, it's highly recommended because it gives you such a nice fold. So we'll just put this out of the way. And then let's start with, I did this card because it was in my head, but I switched it up a little bit. Let's go ahead and cut this piece. This is going to be our background, and you're going to cut it 4 by 5 1/4. And I want it to go this way, so I want my leaves to look like they're going down. Now, this is the piece I'm using, and see if you would rather put some jungle animals on here, like those adorable rhinoceroses that are currently part of the online exclusives. They would look good on here. So 4 by 5 1/4. So this can go back in my little thing. We're not going to use that on this card, but we are going to use this. So I'm not going to use that side. We're going to flip it over and use it this way. Now I have done so much embossing lately. I'm back on a little bit of an embossing kick, which I love. I love, love, love embossing. So in your kit, you're gonna have this piece of shimmery white cardstock. And then I went over and I thought I'd already cut this out because I just thought this would be beautiful in silver. When you get it in your pack, you'll have to take out these little pieces here. And then you have one piece. Again, I don't want my husband to leave me. And one piece this way on the card is too long. So you were gonna waste it. One piece this way is not long enough. So I thought, well, we'll just make do with half of it. That way he only has to cut one for all of you instead of two. And sometimes you're like, well, where's my ruler? I have to look for my ruler. And if your desk is like mine, you're like, where'd I bury it? Well, if you have this grid paper, which everybody should have the grid paper, and I'm going to use the Stamparatus on this card. But if you have your little grid paper here because you have your Stamparatus, or just because you like this grid paper for scrap paper, look, this is 6 inches. So I don't even have to find, if I'm measuring ribbon, if you're doing try it class, or if you're in club and we're making a measurement, you just lay it here. You don't even need a pencil. And just on your 3 inch, because it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just gonna cut this in half. Now you have one for one card and one for the other. You didn't have to find a ruler, you didn't have to find a pencil, and always remember there are measurements on this. It's also on our we have large grid paper that you can buy too. They're both in the catalog, but now you have a piece for both. And my husband's not gonna be mad at me when he has to cut this out because I'm gonna be like, I only need one. That'll make him, he'll be mad at first and then he'll be happy and he won't realize that I tricked him. Because he'll be happy and then he will not think about the fact that he should still kind of be mad. But when I was doing the embossing, I thought, well, I'm gonna emboss it in silver because it would look beautiful embossed in silver, the flower, because this would match. But then I brought the silver over. You can see it's still here. But then I was looking at the paper and I thought, well, these are white. So this is silver, this is white. And then I thought, well, I could do a mixture of both. But I really liked these white leaves and there is a stamp that is those leaves. So I thought, well, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna stick with the white. And I have noticed that this is on back order. And I don't want any of you that are in club to think, well, I can't make the card because I don't have a Versamark. There are multiple ways that you can emboss. So if you don't have a Versamark, or if you have one and it's dry, you can get a refill. You can also emboss with Whisper White. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to emboss on this card. So if you buy a white ink pad from Stampin' Up, it automatically comes with the refill. Actually, it comes empty, so it doesn't have any ink in it, and then you have to fill it. So if you notice that you watch me use my white ink pad, it always looks like this because I have never inked mine all the way to the edges because I use it a lot, and then I'll put it up and not use it all. So it would just dry up. So I just ink enough that it is kind of right there in the middle where I'm gonna ink it. Now my stamps still have the ink because I just made this card a few minutes ago. But when you're done, clean this off because you don't want it to stay on there. So I'm gonna do this. Now, this is a wet craft ink. So I could stamp in white and emboss in silver. I could stamp in white and emboss in white. I could stamp in white and emboss in black or gold, any of the colors, because this stays wet. I am going to emboss in clear because I want to do, this set's called Hello Irresistible, and part of it is a play on words because it's a resist technique that is on the paper. I'm sure well, sometimes I say, I'm sure you can't see it, and then when I watch the video back, I'm like, well, you could actually see it better than I could. So we've got this for this one. I am going to move my silver out of the way. I thought about doing both so you could see it, and then my card turned out so pretty. I'm like, I'm not doing another color because this is pretty. I thought about doing silver. If I had lots of time, then I would do them in all the colors and let you see. I see some demonstrators do that. I don't know where they find the time. But here's this. I'm going to heat set this, hold it in one spot, and as you see that go clear and shiny, then move it, because if you do it too much, then it won't resist because it will not be shiny and you'll just color the dull powder. Once your gun's hot, it does it almost instantly. Right, those are done. I'm gonna get some more leaves out of that in a second. I'm going to do it in a different kind of order than I did my other thing. I take this little piece here, and I'm going to show you two different things that you can do, because if you don't buy the stamp set, you won't have this stamp. But if you do buy the stamp set, then you can do it this way. So I'm going to show you both on the same piece of paper, but you don't do both. Just pick which one you want. This one, I'm just going to take the splatters out of here, and it works a little bit better. You can see half of this is more the seafoam and more is Pretty Peacock, which if you didn't hear, there's a color refresh coming, and Pretty Peacock is not one of our current colors, but when Stampin' Up! Does a color refresh about every 3 to 5 years, and it's been 5, so if you know about Stampin' Up!'s colors, and you know color refreshes come every 3 to 5 years, and it's been 5, then we were due for one. But they will take our color families, and they will take some colors that just aren't in anymore, or just aren't as trendy, and they will pull those out, and they'll put some past in colors, maybe some new colors back in. So since Pretty Peacock is in this paper, and it is one of the embellishments, then you can pretty much guess that Pretty Peacock is going to make a reappearance. And there will be a color refresh, and we will find more about that at the end of March. So this is just going to add kind of some watermarks to it. Okay, so see, that's really pretty. It's very subtle, but look, the paper has it in white. So you could also do white ink. I just like, especially in the spring, and I know we're getting rain. I know some of you are still getting snow, but it will be spring in your area soon. So it kind of just gives that water feel to it. But if you didn't get the stamp set and you still want that kind of water feel, all you have to do is stick this in here. It doesn't have to have any kind of ink. You can put some ink on it if you want. And just kind of lay this on here. And I know it looks like it's sticking to that. It's not. It's just optical illusion. And this is the other reason I didn't cut this. This is just going to leave a little bit of scrap paper when we're finished with this card. So I like to have it for my little handle. So you want to be careful. And you're going to heat from the bottom. Very important. If you do this from the top, there's nothing holding that powder on. And it's just going to be all over your table. So just go ahead. Put that under here, and it's going to give a great water look. So if you're using those rhinoceroses on here, it's going to look like they are at the pond in the safari in the Sahara Desert. And you can do it several times. Once you have this on here, you can keep scooping that up and having it lay on there. It's a really fun, pretty spring effect. Once it's mostly melted, then you can get it up here and get any of those little dusties that may still be on there. So we have that. I hope you can see that. It's really, really pretty. And it just kind of looks like somebody literally spilled some water on your card. So again, it's just a different look. It's a much more wet look. There's still some powder here, so let's get that. Whenever you emboss, you want to give it a good go around in the light. But I like, especially when you're in club and you didn't get the stamp set, I don't want you to feel like you missed out on a whole technique. You don't need the stamps. It's a little bit easier. It will use a little less powder, but you may have gotten the stamp set and you want it to have that fun, wet look. So we have that. Now let's do, let's go ahead and do this. There's 2 more embossing things, and both of them are a little bit different. Told you there would be some embossing. Last month, I think the cards were more on the simpler side in Card Club. This time, they're going to be a little bit more, they're not difficult. There's just some steps in them. And I'm doing this because I think it was maybe the month before in Club. Club's months come so fast and furious that sometimes I'm like, I feel like we just did it and it's actually 3 months ago. But I had some people one month, several people ask, how do I emboss in color? And this is not like a dark paper, right? So I want to put my words in here in evergreen. So let me show you There's no evergreen in this paper. There is no soft succulent in this paper. There is seafoam in this paper. And then there's peacock, which I do have a peacock ink pad, but I'm not going to use it because I know a lot of you do not have it. If you do have it, then pull that out. But evergreen works really well because our colors are matchy, but they don't have to be matchy-matchy. They coordinate nicely. So I'm going to take my evergreen pad, which really needs to be re-inked. And I put it in my Stamparatus for 2 reasons. 1, so I can do this technique. And 2, because when you're stamping on designer series paper, if you get it crooked, then you're like, well, that was crooked. And it's one thing on cardstock because you can flip it over. If I flip it over, I'm left with this then and not the leaves. So you can see that my pad needs to be re-inked. It's never a good idea to re-ink a pad. I told you guys, if you watched me a couple of weeks ago, I was going to re-ink them, and I have been so busy that even to get all my pads out and re-ink them, you know, it takes about an hour. I haven't had that hour. So let's do it again. And the second time it will be a little darker. There we go. Getting a little bit darker. But the other reason is it's straight. And so I don't have to worry about it being all crooked or smudgy or catching in the corners when I'm stamping with my Stamparatus. And you could make multiple cards like this. Still a better idea to have re-inked it. Much better. And then I'm going to do it one more time. Now, if you want to emboss this, there's 2 ways. If you go quickly, this has several layers of ink, so it will take a second longer to dry, which is what I'm going to do. Or you can clean this off and go as slow as you want, and then use your Versamark and put a Versamark over the top of it and emboss it that way. But any color can be embossed by doing this. So if you don't want to go quick, then wash this off now and then put Versamark over the top. I'm just going to go quick because I don't want one more step where I have to clean that off and use another stamp pad while you guys are watching. But see, it stuck. And the nice thing is, if a little bit of the powder is left on this card, it doesn't matter. It's going to look like water and look like it's raining a little bit off of the design above it. But look how it makes those words now pop off that background. So you can emboss any color, and you can emboss on the designer series paper and really, really see it and have it look fabulous, because that looks fabulous. And we still have one more thing we're going to emboss. I know you're like, my goodness, girl, what are you doing? And see, I don't want to take time to clean that, so I'm just going to lay that in there and I'll deal with that in a second. Now, if you're in a club and you didn't get the dies, just hand trim these out. If you got the dies like me, then you're going to want to, there's that one and this one, and then there's a little bit of space left on here. I am going to take these 2 leaves and put them in my empty spots on here and cut out these 2 leaves. If you're in Card Club and you did not get those, where'd my little water piece go? I've got a lot of stuff here. So see this right here, flip this over and then trim out these leaves right here. And you'll have enough, you'll have 2 leaves there that you can use for the same thing that these are gonna do. Let me trim these out. All right, so we have these. Now I'm going to do a resist watercolor technique with them. And I have my seafoam and my evergreen and my succulent. We're going to start lightest to darkest, and I'm just going to use a water painter. If you don't have a water painter, you can use an aqua painter. If you have those older ones, you can use just a paintbrush and water. I love my water painters, and they will last forever, and it means you don't have to always be looking for a cup to put some water in and having an open thing of water on your table, because it's self-contained inside here. And I filled it up a couple of weeks ago, and it's about halfway through. It says push right here, so you just push the water out. Start with my lightest color, and I'm just going to go right up to the edges. This is very similar to what I did the other day, if you on that coral colored card that I just showed you, except that was on watercolor cardstock and this is on shimmer white. You can't do it on regular cardstock. Well, you can, you just have to be super, super careful, because it will, the water will make the cardstock pill. This has a coating on it, so it will do pretty well. The watercolor cardstock does fabulous, so it's just kind of a choice. this is prettier, I think, as far as paper goes than the other. Now we're going to do soft succulent. You just take your pad and squeeze as hard as you can with the palm of your hand right here. So your lid, you want the lid to touch the bottom, and when those two meet, then it makes that palette right there. Just take your water and then just drip a little bit in here, and then that just makes your wash. And just kind of wash over. There's no right or wrong. You want to make sure that with that light color that you don't cover it all up, otherwise it will just disappear. So on my leaves, this one I'm going to leave mostly seafoam. This one up here, I'm going to give it a good little dose of the succulent. And then because Stampin' Up's stamp pads, here you can see that has water in it, but when we shut our pads, the water stays down. So just shut it like that, and then the water in there will dry. And then I'm going to take my evergreen, give it a good press. You don't need very much evergreen. It's such a dark color. See, there's hardly any in there, but it's plenty because that's a dark color. I'm going to hit this leaf in here. And then what I want to do with the evergreen is kind of give it some of the outlines, the edges. Because see, then you can kind of really see, because we did clear powder on white paper. So that's going to give it the resist, because we're trying to make it look like that. We're going to do the same thing over here, kind of hit some of the edges. See how those really pop when you put that on there? And then we're going to take something and wipe some of the tops of the embossing powder out. I can't talk. Off to bring back that white color once it's dried. So this is mostly succulent, and I want to keep that, so just get right there. And here is some of that seafoam, but you really can't see that white because it's so light right there. There we go. So we'll let those dry just a second, and then I'll grab something and wipe that off the top. Okay, with these, I had every intention when I first cut them out of coloring them green. But then I looked at my card and I'm like, well, those are white. But I wanted them to, this is all like bold and beautiful. And I wanted these to be bold and beautiful and kind of match these. So embossing, we're working on some fun techniques. So grab your Whisper White again. And then you're gonna need your tweezers that come in the kit with this. And this is super fun, and this is really pretty with the silver. So I already have some ideas for the alternate card, so check back in a day or two for when I do the alternate version of this card. It will be a completely different stamp set, but it will be the same supplies. So just put this in here. Same white pad, and just kind of plunk it in here. And then in here, so you can see it's covered. I am going wrong side. I want to do, I'm going to hold the tip that's going to be tucked under the flower when I tape it down. And if, like, it kind of looks like that could go, it doesn't really matter, except for when you look at these, see those points right there are the ones that are up. And then you're just going to heat these. It's going to kind of make them look glossy, porcelain-y. Those of you, it's an optical illusion. I often have people tell me that it looks like I'm heating too close to the tray underneath me. It's just the camera angle. Put this back down here, get another little dose of it. As long as you do it right away when it's hot, it will stick. And I'm gonna do one more time. See how pretty that is and how glossy it looks? I'll show you that one. See the difference between the two? So here's just paper, and here's the one we've turned into that fun little glass. I'll take an up-close picture and put it on my website so you can see it. So now grab this one, and I'm gonna, again, this is the part that's gonna be glued under the flower, so it doesn't matter how it looks. Let's put this together. We have our, oh, well, I shouldn't have moved these off. Just take this, and if you just wipe it off, any of the green that's stuck to the top of the embossing powder will mostly come off. Not all of it will come off, but most of it, and then it just kind of makes that white pop back up. You can see this here, and when you wipe that off, then the white comes. It's not a lot because most of it seeps down onto the paper. You're gonna take this. Now remember, if you don't have the dies, you'll want to flip this over and keep this for those leaves there. I'm gonna put this one together a bit differently. I'm gonna go ahead and put my adhesive here. Add this. You can trim this a little bit smaller. I debated, did I want to have more of my leaves or did I want to have more of this fabulous wet pattern? And I went for wet. Now, if you don't need the leaves, you can just do this, which is not what I did on my first one, but it saves having to cut straight. Just fold that over and then take this, and then you don't even have to cut anything because you don't have to make that come out. Then for your ribbon, we're going to use the silver, obviously, to match our little silver die. Oh, goodness, that unwound in my packet. Take this, all the information to subscribe to my card club. Put 2 little things on here, and it's going to resist the embossing, so you just need to make sure that you're getting it on there. All the information to subscribe to my card club, to get your add-ons, everything. I have a card club page on my website, and it's always on there. It always has this first video every month. Just do a little bit longer there. And then I was afraid that one was going to get lost. That's why I did 2 of the 2 lines of adhesive. Pretty ribbon, really, really pretty. But I felt like a bow was kind of detracting. I had a bow on there at first and I took it off. And then just flip this over. Don't have to tie anything. We do some fun stuff in Card Club with bows, but I know some of you don't like to tie, so I try to give you some non-tying, bow tying options. I'll move this ugly paper in a little. There we go. Put this one here. And then we are going to switch. For this Card Club, you are going to need some glue. I would recommend the fine tip glue, because I think it's the easiest to put your embellishments on. And you're also going to need it to put this little guy on. Make sure you pop out all of the things that are in between here. This card is so pretty when you're done. I think it would make a fabulous wedding card. Not with this sentiment. You're going to have to get a different sentiment. Then you're going to want to put your glue on the big circles. And just a dot. If you put too much, it'll ooze out from them, and you don't want that to happen. And then just line this edge up right along so it comes out to the edge of those. And then when we put our embellishments on in a second, the weight of those is going to help keep that down. Put that there for just a second. Then I'm going to use my adhesive on the big one of these, and then on my leaves I'll use the... So you want to cover up that part, but you have all of your leaves and all of the flower to help with. I'm not going to press that down because I want to be able to slide my leaves underneath it. See, that was all it needed to just grab that. And so you want to get your leaves on here, make sure not to cover up your words. I haven't pushed that down yet, so I can stick that on there. And then these are just beautiful. Look how pretty those are. I have some nice, oh guys, when I did the St. Patrick's Day card the other day, I had green. I get green ink on me, and I don't know what it is with me and the greens. They just are on me forever once I use them. Stick that here. And now when we put these on, it's going to help weigh them down. So I'm going to put glue, not on all of these. This one's going to have to get it though, because I think my other one must be turned. So there is a big, yeah, mine goes the other direction, or it's the other end maybe. And then you're also, I would highly recommend, if you're using these loose dots, that you have the Take Your Pick tool with the sticky tip. It makes them so easy to put on. So you have these, kind of get them shaken out. And then we are going to use the peacock ones, which are, they're beautiful on this card, beautiful. So just get this. This is, if you have a Take Your Pick tool, these little accessories are in the back of the catalog or on the website. See if I can get this one to hold that down. Just hold on to it for a second. Did 2 of them. The other one didn't take any kind of surgery to get this to happen. But you get 2 of them in a package, and they last for a long time. Just don't squidge out more than you need, because it just takes a little bit once you have it, once the dries up. It's a little bit, kind of reminds me of Silly Putty. Ish sizes of the circles on in the embellishment package. So just kind of match those up. I put some glue on that one, but that I'm not going to be able to get that size. There we go. Isn't that beautiful? Lots of texture, lots of color, lots of resist. This is nice and bold, because sometimes when you have all this going on and then you try to stamp a sentiment, it kind of gets lost in there. There's some stuff blocking the light. Here's my other one. So you can see this is the other end. When I cut it, that's the opposite. This is this piece on this one. If you're interested in joining Card Club, then watch. If you're in Card Club, watch for your alternate. I will try to get it posted this week. I will put on the club page. You have till the 10th to join, and I will put on there. It'll be a day or 2 before I figure out how many. I have too much to do to figure out how many, if I have spare embellishment packs or not. But whatever I choose, I'll probably choose the iridescent gems or something, because I know the colors in those are very similar and they're round, so they would work as well. So add your extras, and if you have any questions, let me know. It's a beautiful set, and you can just go over there too if you're not in Card Club and order any of the online exclusives there while supplies last. Everybody have a great one. Bye.